everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dorky Dunkleosteus. I am Carla, your curator, and I have a brand new microphone. I'm so happy. Thank you so much to my friend Emily for giving me this wonderful gift. It's working really well. Hopefully this turns out really, really well. I've been testing it pretty much every day. All right, so today we're going to talk about something that I've seen quite often on a few of the web pages or Facebook pages that I follow on Facebook. It's getting kind of annoying how many times I've seen this over several pages, not just paleontology pages, but also some cute animal pages and stuff like that. So how do paleontologists name things? So I am the Dunk, and the Dunk is fed up with this shit because people are coming after us for how we name our dinosaurs. And it's driving me up a wall. This is what I'm talking about. This specific post right here. So I blocked out the names and where it's from because, anonymity. It's a good thing we named most of the dinosaurs like 100 years ago when all we were into was mythology and speaking Latin. If they just learned about dinosaurs now and had to name hundreds, there'd be a heckin' Chunkosaurus and a northern thick scaly boy. And this is from 12/2 of 2019. Excuse you? I mean, okay, so what's wrong with big Chunkosaurus or big thick scaly boy? But also, fuck you! Seriously, fuck you! Fuck you. This is so fucking annoying. First of all, okay, let me take a breath. Let's talk about the facts here. Because a new dinosaur species or genus, or both, is named every other week. That's named, not discovered, but named. That's when all of the information comes together and they are formally named in the papers. Discoveries happen every week. That they discover something new. Discoveries happen every week. A new dinosaur species or genus is named every other week. There are rules in which paleontologists and scientists have to name things. In fact, they're pretty strict. We'll get into those rules. But there's also a lot of fun. Also, sometimes the nicknames that we give, we as in scientists in the paleontology field, I'm an amateur paleontologist, but I am a geologist. Geologists do this too because we will nickname certain layers or certain formations. This just happens. When it comes to geology, most of this stuff is already set in stone because it's been explored. But certain formations and stuff, they get weird. But when it comes to paleontology and zoology and, all of these other sciences where we're discovering living things, they have a very set of rules. And there are a number of unknown dinosaur species that we haven't found yet and we will never know about. We only have half of a percentage. So that's 0.5% of the entire dinosaur clade figured out. That's not including birds. We know birds. There's still some new species of birds being discovered. We know this. We do not have the complete dinosaur species collection. We don't. So there's going to be new names. So let's look at the rules of the naming. So binomial nomenclature was put into place by Carl Linnaeus to name all things scientifically and uniformly. This is the beginning. So Carl Linnaeus decided one day, I am going to name all of the things. And he did. In fact, he was fairly good at it. And he put in some basic rules. First, they must be completely italicized. Now, this is more of a modern setting, because usually they would just use slightly different, they would use a slightly different slant or something while writing to italicize something back when they were doing these things. There are two names, since binomial, that means two name nomenclature. So the first name is the genus. It's always capitalized. Great examples of this are Tyrannosaurus, Velociraptor, Triceratops, Zool. Protoceratops. There's some other ones I'm thinking of. Stegosaurus, and these are the genus names. So when we say Tyrannosaurus, we mean that genus. So, okay, that's a bad one because we only have Tyrannosaurus rex. We don't have Tyrannosaurus mongoliensis. We don't. We only have rex. But Velociraptor has mongoliensis, and they have another species. Triceratops has Triceratops horridus and Triceratops fragilis. Is there a fragilis? No, I don't think so. Actually, we'll go to Allosaurus. Allosaurus. Hey, that was my first episode. Allosaurus fragilis, Allosaurus jimadensi. I did it again. See, I did it again. I mispronounced it. I know I did. And another Allosaurus species. So first name is always the genus. That includes us. So we are Homo or human. So we are actually Homo sapiens sapiens. There's Homo erectus, Homo neanderthalis, Neanderthalis. I'm blanking, but you get the picture. The first name is the genus. The second name is the species. It is always lowercase. And if you want to hyphenate, if you want to put, say, instead of saying Tyrannosaurus rex, you would say T-Rex, but it's not T-Rex. It is T period lowercase rex. Always lowercase, and of course, always italicized. So, some species names: Rex, Mongoliensis, Horridus, Fragilis. I can't remember Stegosaurus species. We are sapiens, actually. So we have two species. So we have a species and then a subspecies, because there are Homo sapiens something else, and then there's Homo sapiens sapiens. We are Homo sapiens sapiens. But this works for all things. So domestic cats are Felis sylvestris. I'm not kidding. There is Panthera leo, the African lion. There are, of course, tiger species. So Leo is the species name for Panthera leo. There's Canis lupus, which is the gray wolf. There's Canis dirus, which is dire wolves. So this gives us a better idea of how everything is nested into family groups. Binomial nomenclature has adjusted to modern times pretty well. Generally, everything is, well, let's go on to the next rule. Generally, everything is either in Latin or Greek. This can be complicated because Latin is a dead language. What I mean by a dead language is that it is not currently being spoken regularly enough to have new words, phrases, and evolutions in its language. So that was my TV turning off. So that is why we have, that's why we have a lot of stuff that's written in Latin. And that's why actually scientists use Latin, because meanings don't change anymore in Latin. Greek is a little difficult because Greek is still spoken. There's modern Greek and ancient Greek. Depending on the scientist, you'll probably see more ancient Greek, at least sometimes. Modern Greek is coming into it simply because we're running out of Greek words. But Latin is a dead language, and we kind of have tapped that. There's suffixes and prefixes and a whole bunch of other things that we can use and smush together into a giant name. Like Tyrannosaurus rex means tyrant lizard king. Tyro meaning tyrant, saurus, lizard, and rex meaning king. Then you have Triceratops, which is three-horn face or three-horn head, and other these things that they're just basically a lot of different. I just knocked my mic there. There are a lot of different small words that are jammed together to make a big word. Now, names can relate to a variety of things. They can relate to location, the individual who discovered the thing, a culture, mythology, or a comparison to similar fossils or similar living things. So, for instance, Struthiomimus, that's a dinosaur. It actually means ostrich mimic, because Struthio is the genus for ostrich. So, mimus means mimic, Struthiomimus. Then we have something like Suchomimus. Okay. Sarcosuchus, which is, I'm blanking, Sarcosuchus. It's a crocodile. It's actually a gigantic crocodile. But then you have Suchomimus, which is a crocodile mimic that was a dinosaur. So some things that we have in for location, we have just recently, there was a new hadrosaur discovered in Alberta, Canada. It was originally thought to be an Edmontosaurus. That's an example of a individual who was honored by being named as the thing. Which means Edmund's lizard. And it has been renamed because it is a new species and genus, and it's named after the river bend that it was found in. Cultures, really big. So going back to that Hadrosaurus, it was actually named in, not in Latin or Greek, but actually named in the native First Nation of Canada that was near where it was found. Mythology, of course, we have Thanatos, which is very common right now because everybody's talking about the Reaper of Death, and they're calling Thanatos, and well, Thanatos is the Greek god of death. There's also a griffin, a dinosaur that is named after the griffin, which is, of course, a mythological creature. Other than that, the main thing that I've seen in any kind of research that I've done on what are the rules of naming, because I had to look this up. And I'm like, okay, are there other rules that I'm missing that I'm getting pissed off about that I shouldn't be getting pissed off about? And no. The other thing is the names should be impactful, and it should be something memorable, because if it's impactful, it means that people are going to be interested. So Tyrannosaurus Rex, of course, the tyrant lizard king, oftentimes back in the early 1900s, late 1800s, when they were naming these dinosaurs, they went with names, but they always had the English translation. So when they talked about Tyrannosaurus Rex, a lot of people don't know Latin or Greek, or specifically, they don't know Latin, at least not in a way that they could easily translate that. So they would say the tyrant lizard king. That translation is so in your head. It immediately evokes a visceral emotional response. That's what gets people interested. So Stegosaurus is an interesting one because Stegosaurus actually means roof lizard. Because when he was first discovered, they thought the plates on his back actually laid flat along its back like some kind of shingles. Interesting little thing. I think we're going to do an episode on the Stegosaurus just alone on how many different ways this creature has been shown in paleo reconstruction. So, and sometimes they're just fun. So names need to have an impact on the common person, because if they're not, you're not going to get people interested. And if you're not getting people interested, you're not going to get people coming into your museum to see these things. So, all right, some modern name examples. Thanatoseret. Okay, I'm going to read this, and I'm going to read this as best as I can. Again, apologies. I am dyslexic. I have a hard time pronouncing things verbally when I read them because I don't hear them spoken as much. This actually happens because I read a lot. So Thanatothorestes, Thanatothorestes degrutorum translates to Reaper of Death, at least the genus. So it sounds super edgelordy, and yeah, that it kind of is. When I saw this come up on my newsfeed a couple months back, and I'm like, oh my god, that is a super edgelord dinosaur, and I kind of love it. Culture. Today's culture is like, yeah, we'd call that kind of, edgelordy, or these other kind of words, cringe culture, edgelordy, memey. But this actually still has some of those classic, it has actually all of the classic ticks, all those check marks that make it a good name. Binomial. It actually deals both in Greek mythology. Again, I talked about this just a couple seconds ago. Thanatos, which is Thanato here, but Thanatos is the Greek god of death, not Hades. He is the god of the dead, but not of death. Hades is just the guy who organizes the people that Thanatos takes care of. Degrutorum is actually not named after Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. I kind of wish it was, but no, actually, the man who found the fossils, fragments of the skull of this tyrannosaurid, so it's a family member in the tyrannosaurid part of the branch of this cladogram. It actually is a new genus, new species, but it's part of that family. And he has a last name called de Groot. So de Groot actually is a farmer. And thank you very much, Mr. de Groot, because you're a paleontologist, an amateur paleontologist, I would say, a paleontological enthusiast. You got a name. You got a dinosaur named after you. You got a name in the books forever. Everybody's going to remember you. And a whole bunch of geeky nerds like me are going to also giggle because it's like, yes, Reaper of Death of Groot. Because Groot, de, I believe in French, because I believe his name is French, actually means of Groot. I don't know what Groot actually means. Who knows? He may have changed his last name to Groot. I don't know. If he did, awesome. Let's look to another one. Zool. Okay, the frickin' species name again. Zool crurivastor. The ankylosaurid was found in North America, housed in the Royal Ontario Museum, is the most complete in America. Not only does he have a complete skull, he has a complete tail club, and he's got so much of his body. The scutes, which are armored, bony plates that are about that big. Modern crocodilians have scutes, or scoots. I'm not exactly sure on the pronunciation. Godzilla has scutes. These are scutes. They were found in situ, which means as in life. It's a dinosaur mummy. And the paleontologists who were digging him out of this gigantic rock mud took one look at his skull and said, holy shit, there can be only Zool, from Ghostbusters. And they actually asked permission from Dan Aykroyd, who wrote the Ghostbusters film, to name this dinosaur after Zool, because it looks exactly like the Zool dog from that very classic movie. If you haven't seen it, I recommend it. It is a great movie. It's very funny, kind of horror-y, but fun. It's a great movie. It's just fun. It's a geeky movie, and I love it. Dan Aykroyd absolutely loved it. He had to come and see it, and he did, and he loved it. It's Zool. Everyone is also happy. So, Crurivastor. That means, or translates rather, to breaker of shins, because of that club tail. So it translates to Zool, breaker of shins. Is it geeky? Yes. Does it follow the rules? Absolutely. And you know what? That's perfectly fine, because everybody's like, oh my god, it's Zool. They call this dinosaur Zool. That's what they called it. They called it Zool while they were digging it out and, getting the skull out. They're like, holy shit, this looks like Zool. That's kind of an example of a nickname that became a real name. So what is the big deal here, people? Why are people so against naming dinosaurs after fandoms or cool things? I mean, we had a Dracorex hogwartsia for a while. It has since become a invalid taxon and an invalid clade because it was discovered to be part of the Pachycephalosaur. But it had a name that meant Dragon King of Hogwarts. That is so cool. Why are you having a problem with this? Why can't scientists have fun with the things that they work on, sometimes for years before they are officially named? And in fact, most of the times it's decades. Sometimes it's up to decades before they finally have enough information to say, yes, this is a new species, this is a new genus, this is what it looks like. This guy found it, and you know what? We're naming it what we want to name it. We also have worked our asses off to do what we love. I'm a geologist. I went to school for 4 years. I've done internships. I have worked in a museum. I have done type specimen cataloging. I have done all of this, and I don't even have my paleontology degree yet, but I want to. And then there's a gentleman who I worked with at Penn Dixie who is working on, and he thinks he's so sure because he talks to the guy who knows about trilobites. He thinks he has a new species of trilobite. Like, what the heck? Yeah, he better get to name that new species of trilobite whenever the fuck he wants to. Like, come on, people. Jeez. It's just, like, come on. Just let us do what we do and have some fun with it. Because honestly, uh, like, thick, scaly, thick boyosaurus, that'd be a little kind of weird. But, if they Latinized it, let's see. So if they Latinized it, yeah, that could work. I mean, it's all about turning it into Latin, and Latin's pretty simple. Latin is the root of basically all Romanized languages. That's why generally if you understand English, and even if you understand just a little bit of French and or Spanish, you can understand a lot of the other languages. So you can understand, I took Spanish. I can understand some French if I think about it. But I also was raised Roman Catholic. So I understand Latin. I'm also a gigantic freaking dinosaur nerd. And I understand Latin because I know the Latin names of dinosaurs. I know the roots. I know the entomology of them, right? Entomology or etymology? Etymology, entomology is the study of insects. Also, most of our sciences are based around Latin. So I understand this, and I'm like, yeah, we could totally Latinize that. It'll probably sound really fucked up for a little bit, but you know what? It's fun. And these cool names that we come up with, like Zool, like Thanos. There's a Thanos dinosaur too, like Thanatos, the Reaper of Death, and Zool, and all of this. This gets kids interested because what do kids love? Pop culture. Pop culture is so freaking important. Pop culture is like our modern mythology. These are stories of heroes that exist to give us hope. So why can't we have an Iron Man-densis dinosaur, or a Starkiensis bird, or a Steven Rogers cat, or a lizard named after Chris Connors? I know he was technically a villain, but still, it's one of those things where if we don't get kids interested in what we're doing by using these boring Latinized names, we're going to lose a generation of scientists. We are not going to have another generation to take our steps when we finally retire and, want to hold the torch out to the next person. There won't be somewhere to take that yet. So, yeah, let us have some fun. Let us get kids excited about what we have. I mean, is that really such a big deal? Is it really so bad to do? To have fun with it? To say, yeah, he's a chonkin thick boy, like Chonkosaurus? Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, if you discover something, even not as a paleontologist, but if you, as somebody who's just going out and you stumble across a bone and it's a brand new bone, brand new dinosaur species, brand new genus, oftentimes they go to the discoverer. The scientists do. They go to the person who discovered it and say, hey, do you have any ideas of what you want to name this? This is what it is. This is what it looks like, we think. This is what we think it fits. Do you have a name? Because oftentimes we will give that gift of immortality to the person who discovered it. Even if they don't have an idea for a name, oftentimes we're like, we're going to name this after you. What's your last name, your first name? Jimadensi. Hey, yeah. That's somebody's name immortalized forever as an Allosaurus species. Is it so bad? Is it really that cringe to say, I want to immortalize my favorite character from Overwatch as a dinosaur, or a marine reptile, or a trilobite, or a new species of bird that was just discovered in the rainforest, or whatever? What the fuck, people? Come on. Okay, I'm off. I'm done with the source. I'm done with my soapbox. Just, kind of give it a thought, because we do a lot of work. And hey, I give the credit to these scientists all the time. They are doing work that is so cool. So here we have all of our sources: National Geographic, Smithsonian, the BBC, and of course, Scientific American Post. These are major things. And It just annoys me. It really does, especially when I see it on paleontology fucking pages on Facebook that they're like, oh my God, that's so fucking cringe. I'm like, oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Really? Like, fuck you. Come on. Just get off your high horse. We're scientists. We're scientists, but you know what? We're also big kids. We're big kids who lick rocks to make sure that they're not bone. And yes, I have done that. We go out and we spend our lives in labs and in museums and digging and discovering things that we will never see as far as current science understanding goes. We will never see them in life. And we need to remember them. So why not put a fucking awesome name on it? So sorry, again, I'm getting on the soapbox again. It just ticks me off, you know? Anyway, so that was me ranting. Thank you again so much for joining me this week. Here's the sources. Sources will also be linked in the description below. If you guys liked this video and would like to see more, please press the like button. Please, 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 please. I beg you, please. Okay, I'm not begging you. But I really would like it because it makes me feel good. It makes me know that people are enjoying what I do. I'm enjoying what I do, so I'm going to keep doing it no matter what. Hey, hit the subscribe button. We've got videos coming up every single week. Knock on wood. I'm gonna knock on my head because I don't have any. Well, wait, I'm gonna do there, the leg of my desk. We have videos coming out every single week, Monday morning at 9 a.m. and every other week. So not this week, but next week I will be doing Ark Survival Evolved again. Hopefully I will do a little more. Get my base up. We're here to have fun. We're here to learn. We're here to enjoy sciences. We're here to enjoy geology, paleontology, geomythology, and how the hell this all comes together. So thank you again for joining me tonight. And everybody, remember, hey, ring-a-ling-ding that bell so you get notified when I go live. Sometimes it's not always at the same time, but hey, maybe I'll start getting a little better at doing more weekly things. Next big step is getting a good gaming computer and a better recording computer than my laptop. All right, everybody. So I'm done rambling for now. Thank you again so much for joining me. I hope you get to see you again next week. And you know what? Have fun. Think of some cool dinosaur names. Leave them in the comments. Yes, that is your challenge. I want you to think up the coolest dinosaur name you can while following the rules that I have shared here in this video and in the links below. Think of your coolest dinosaur name that you would like to see on a dinosaur. Doesn't matter what kind of dinosaur, or if you have an idea for a dinosaur, hopefully that will be found, cross your fingers, cross your heart, that you find and you want to name it, sure, what the hell, leave them in there. Let's see if we can do some Latin translation. So thank you all again. So have a great week and keep digging, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.